Today I'm going to go over my idea for combining journeys through the Radiant Citadel into a single campaign. This will involve 2 new adventures focusing on the Citadel itself, which will only be briefly detailed here. This will contain minor spoilers for the Radiant Citadel, and to begin, my goals for the campaign are 1. Highlight cool stuff about the Radiant Citadel. The Radiant Citadel is a city built on the bones of an ancient creature wrapped around a massive diamond. It doesn't really factor into the adventures themselves, though. The campaign should have the Citadel as more of a factor. 2. Allow the pre-written adventures to remain as standalones. A lot of the appeal of an anthology is you can drop characters into a adventure rather easily without having to rely on a lot of pre-existing knowledge. Maybe you don't always have the same players each week, or maybe your players are just really bad at remembering plot between games. But the campaign should feel episodic. Each adventure is self-contained and pushes the main story arc slightly, but not too much. The central hub of the adventure will of course be the Radiant Citadel. Life on the Citadel is one of unity between many different cultures. The rich and the poor meet on equal footing, and the trading between the 13 civilizations exists in harmony. Or so your adventures have heard. Instead, we find the people of the Radiant Citadel constantly squabbling. Even the minor disagreements are blowing up and getting wrapped into politics. There is a layer of tension, even in what normally would be casual interactions. This may seem like the antithesis of how the Radiant Citadel was written, and that's intentional. Forces beyond the keening gloom are closing in upon the Citadel, darkening the hearts of those inhabitants of the ethereal plane. The sinister power even reaches through the Concord gems into the civilizations themselves. It's up to our heroes to restore harmony. Okay, that might start sounding a little like the start to a JRPG, but hear me out. Each of the adventures is more or less about resolving some sort of conflict in the given civilization. Sometimes that conflict is who stole the onions. Sometimes that conflict is oh god, volcanoes are raining fire from the sky and there's fire everywhere, and also some of the animals are made of fire. The idea is that each time your players complete an adventure and resolve a conflict, people within the Radiant Citadel are resolving their own conflicts. This is the people fighting back against the grip of the evil forces within the keening gloom. Now's a good time to start talking about the keening gloom. This is a terrifying, massive, ethereal cyclone that threatens to consume the entire Citadel. At the start of the campaign, it's closer than it's ever been. And after each adventure, it only keeps getting closer. Within this ethereal cyclone resides the evil forces I keep referencing. They are using their power to sow discord in order to eventually consume the Aurora Diamond and all who reside in it in their tumultuous tempest. But more on that later. So at level 1, the party enters the Radiant Citadel to find the supposed utopia and all manner of conflicts. It can be easy to make up conflicts between civilizations, between speakers. The point is, tensions are high. But parties gotta party, and the characters take the Ruby Concord gem to Sapsum Cove for the Salted Legacy adventure. The main change here is we're only going to give the characters 1 level for that. As the party returns from the party, the Concord gem is hit by an offshoot of the keening gloom and has a terrible crash landings. The players awake in the House of Convalescence for the start of the first new adventure I'm proposing. This adventure, for 2nd level players, is designed to showcase the Citadel itself and all its cool features. One important feature is the Incarnates. Incarnates are plants or animals made up entirely of gemstones. Each gemstone houses a spirit, and while Incarnates have their own personality, they can draw from the wisdom and knowledge of the spirits within. There is one major Incarnate for each civilization connected to the Radiant Citadel, and many smaller ones. Those of you with a keen artist's eye may have noticed that one of these Incarnates is not like the others, and that's because I've drawn it in MS Paint. This is Rory, the dragonfly. Unlike other Incarnates, each of Rory's gems can switch colors. Your players will first meet Rory while they recover in the House of Convalescence. Rory is a bit disassembled at the moment, consisting only of a single gem that alternates between colorless and deep red. The crux of this new adventure will be to explore the Radiant Citadel and collect all the pieces and reassemble Rory. I may post a full video on it later, but essentially the adventure will be exploring the major landmarks like the Court of Whispers, Preserve of the Ancestors, the Trade to Skull, and the Palace of Exile to collect all of Rory's parts. One gem they'll find is not part of Rory, but an Ioun stone, and a reward for the adventure. At the end of the adventure, Rory is fully assembled, and they regain some of their memories. They can feel the presence of the keening gloom coming in, and fear they cannot make themselves known to anyone other than the player characters. If too many people find out about Rory, the evil forces may discover them as well. Rory also notes that they felt when the characters resolved the issue in Sapson Co., and how this resolution woke Rory from slumber. The next game begins with Rory feeling a similar disturbance in God's Breath and entreating the players to investigate. When the players return from the Written in Blood adventure, they find Rory bigger. They consist of more gems now and have shape-shifted into a songbird. In addition, Rory's gems now alternate between colorless, deep red, and a paler red. The paler red is that of Jasper, the Concord gem for God's Breath. In addition, the Ioun stone that Rory generates during his growth is also Jasper. And now we've got the loop for the remaining adventures in the book. Rory feels disharmony somewhere, the players go solve it. When they return, Rory is bigger, more colorful, and has shapeshifted into a new animal plant. Rory rewards them with an Ioun stone that matches the Concord gem they just traveled on. Repeat. If you're not familiar with Ioun stones, they are magic gems that will orbit a person, granting them powerful benefits. The Dungeon's Master Guide has specific ones that exist, but in this campaign we're going to make up new ones. Each time the players get an Ioun stone, it is the same gem type of the Concord gem of the civilization they just came from, and grants a benefit that thematically makes sense with that adventure. For example, the first gem the players get is because they completed the Salted Legacy adventure. It is a ruby that grants the chef's feat to whom it is attuned. Having 13 different Ioun stones at the end of the adventure may make your players pretty powerful, but I've never had players upset they were too powerful, and it's easy enough to up the difficulty of later adventures. I really like the ideas of the players and the Citadel being orbited by gems. As your players go through the adventure, I like the idea of them having a little choice between which world they go to next. The Fiend of Hollow Mine, Wages of Ice, and Sins of Our Elders are all about 5th level difficulty in terms of combat, so why not let players choose which orders to do things in? Once you get to the mid to high level adventures, being in the specific correct level matters less, so I plan to also give them a choice in which order they do adventures. It is worth noting that the two civilizations with no adventures, Taib and Umizo, do not exist in my version of the Radiant Citadel at this point, so the players will have been to every place a Concord gem will go to by the time they complete the book. After the final adventure in the book, it is time for the second new adventure I am proposing, the finale. As the players return on the Concord gem to find the keening gloom devastatingly close, the storm is rocking the Citadel, is threatening to tear the roofs off of houses. No more trips on Concord gems will be safe at this point, and doom is approaching with frightening certainty. Many people have already been evacuated. This mirrors some of the lore in which the Concord gems were initially discovered by families fleeing disaster in their own worlds. However, those that remain in the Radiant Citadel are thriving with togetherness as they face this mighty obstacles. Healers are working around the clock to help those injured. Speakers attempt to institute calmness in this calamity. Everyone is working together to brace structures and homes on the Citadel against the rapidly increasing winds. Your players see NPCs they've worked with in the past all pitching in together. Danger is high, but no one is panicking. Then your players see Rory, no longer hiding, but helping as well. Rory is in their final form, an incarnate dragon whose gems flash of every different color of the Concord gems the players traveled upon. Rory's memory is fully back now, and knows they must travel into the storm to stop it. Riding upon Rory's back, the party pierces the veil of the storm to see a massive ship the size of a village.
Ferocious pirates?
The ship fires massive blasts of energy at the party as Rory dips and weaves, getting closer. Eventually, Rory is hit, and they are blasted into all their individual gems. Fortunately, at the time of death, Rory was close enough to the ship. The players crash land on it, gems scattering everywhere, the colors rapidly fading. The adventure is about to begin. The bulk of this final adventure is about the party exploring this massive ethereal tornado-controlling pirate ship, battling the chaotic forces of despair. I picture the enemies here as ultra-powerful storm elementals, and I think it's best to keep the reason for the attempted conquering of the Radiant Citadel somewhat obscured. This final adventure will have some clues, however. There will be hints that these forces are what caused the Citadel to be abandoned previously. There will be additional Concord gems trapped in the hold, including those for Taib and Umizo, and there'll be evidence that these elementals are the ones who slew the massive creature on whose bones the Citadel was built. If your players successfully complete this final adventure, they will return to the Radiant Citadel as heroes and be given hot cocoa. The Keening Gloom may rise again, but for now there's harmony and new worlds to explore. Alright, that's my pitch for a Radiant Citadel Connected campaign. Hope it's of some use to you. Like I said, if there's interest, I might detail the 2 adventures I'm creating and put them up online. Other than that, I've been Sheptagon. Goodbye forever.